All right, looking at today, using Motion Builder to combine multiple animations with one character. This will prevent you from having to characterize every single time and have each animation come into Unreal as a unique character, which can be the brute force way to do things, but it prevents you from doing things like blending animations if your characters aren't sharing skeletons. Also, it just uses a lot more time. So we're going to try to simplify things here. So I have three files, one Mixamo character, and then two mocap files. So you can see the smaller files. So the one file has the mesh and a T-pose. The other two files are just animation data. All right, so I'm going to file open in Motion Builder. I'm going to open up the model. Usually like to rename things here if I can. Double click this and I'll just call this T-pose. And sometimes Mixamo likes to import the animation as well. So I'm just going to import the one. View is switched. I'm going to switch this back to perspective. There we go. So there's my character. Now I'm going to go ahead and import my two mocap files, a motion file import. Select both of them, open. And here it tells me the two different animations. These are mocaps from Mixamo. I'm going to right click and rename them because these Mixamo.com 1, 2, 3, 4, they start to get a little confusing. Also, that's the defeat one. I'm going to right click here, go to rename, just type A underscore defeat. Just naming conventions A for animation in Unreal, because these names might come over to Unreal. I'll rename, right click and rename the other one, A underscore taunt. And if you have a whole load of these, you could do them all at the same time. So now I have two skeletons here. If you look in the scene, there are two skeletons, two Mixamo origin hips. That's the one for the character, and the other one is for the animation. The thing on top, mocap guy, is just his mesh and textures and stuff. So I see one animation here, and if I scrub, I see one animation. What about the other one? This looks like the defeat animation. And sure enough, if I look at the little bar here, it says A underscore defeat. So this long bar is your takes window that you can switch between different animations. If you had a whole bunch of them here, they would all be listed here. So if I switch to taunt, it's going to change that yellow skeleton to the taunt animation. What we are trying to do is we're going to characterize the character, characterize the animation skeleton, and because both animations are using the same skeleton, remember there's only two skeletons here. There's not three, there's two. All your animations are sharing a skeleton. We characterize both of those, and then we can merge them together. We can save them out separately for Unreal. Okay, so let's go ahead and start characterizing. Click on the hips for the character. Characterize. I usually just keep that one called character. Characterize the mocap. iPad. I usually like to rename the mocap character mocap. Now's a good time to save, just as Motion Builder is very finicky sometimes. Just call this Motion Builder test one. Not a very good name, but whatever. You can see actually when I save it here, it's saving the T-pose along with both the animations embedded into it. That's going to be useful later when we come back to Unreal. But now let's just characterize how we normally do. character mocap. Oh, whoopsies. You know what? This is completely messed up because I did not characterize in a 0.t pose. All right, whoopsies. I deleted my characters, so we're going to recharacterize. Remember, you always want to characterize in that T pose. And I didn't do that for the, I didn't zero out the animation for the motion capture. A common mistake, not a big deal. So I'm just going to remake these characters now. I'm going to make sure to select the hips of my mocap skeleton. And I'm going to right click, select all branches, just like we usually do. Right click, 0 rotation. Now I can characterize this skeleton. Right click on the character again, rename it. Okay. Now we should be back to where we want it to be. Seems pretty okay. But if I switch from taunt, and I click this bar, and I go to defeat, look at that, the animation changes. We didn't have to recharacterize, even though we have 2 animations. Pretty great. I'm going to go ahead and back this up again. Just one characterized. Just in case I have to go back for some reason. Okay, now you could go ahead and do your control rig. You can go ahead and do your baking to skeleton. It's all the same stuff at this point. I'm going to bake to skeleton for, I guess, the defeat animation here, because that's what's selected. Okay, so you can see for defeat, the character controls, it goes to none for the source because it's baked into the skeleton now, instead of getting it from the motion capture file. If I switch to the taunt, you can see that it's not right. It's not taunting. It's in the T-pose. It's going to need to go back up and do the baked skeleton again. There are some ways to streamline this, but I hesitate to show you that right now. So now I switch back and forth between the animations. Neither of them are hooked up to motion capture anymore. They both show source none. So now I can export it out. All right, so now we got to save this out. So we have the model itself in T-pose. We have this mixamo.com, which we're just going to ignore. It's like an empty animation. Then the taunt and the defeat animations. So we want to save all these out. File, save as. And one thing that's going to save you a lot of time is if you click on this button right here, save one take per file, and use take name. Use take name, that's why it's important to when we first import the motion capture takes, and even when you're shooting them in Motive, to keep things named appropriately. So you don't have to go back and do that later. So this is going to save a file for each one of those. This file name right here is less important because it's just going to get overwritten. So I'm just going to click Save. It's going to take us to a window here that shows all the takes. The T-pose, the taunt, the defeat. For some reason this is canceled out right now. I'm going to right click on it and save all. Yours probably isn't like that. I'm going to deselect the mixamo.com one. I'm not really sure what that empty animation is, so we can get rid of it. And then save. And if I go back to my folder, what it saves to is we have all 3 animations here. Maybe I'll rename that one from T-pose to something else. SK character. All right, now we can go to Unreal. Also in Unreal, first thing I'm going to do is import the character, not the animations. And we have no skeleton because this is the first time to import. That's going to be important when we import the animations. And click import. There's the character coming up. Character in T-pose. Just like we wanted. Has its meshes in, has its materials on too. All right, now let's go to import again. I'm going to select both animations. Open. Now, importantly here, we want to make sure that they're using the skeleton that we just imported, which happened to be named character skeleton. And I also want you to check this box right above that, import only animations. That's so we don't need to import the mesh every single time. Just click import. And it imports both of those. Looks like we got some errors here. Smoothing group errors. These are just warnings. It's not that big of a deal. Now if I click on the character, it's character itself, but if I go to the animations, I should see the two animations that are associated with it. There we go. Done. So hopefully that should make things a little more streamlined when working with bunches of different motion capture takes. Remember, this is to get motion capture data from your actor onto the same character. If you're changing characters, if you have multiple characters, then it's a different skeleton. So this is for one character, one skeleton, bunches of different motion capture actions. You know, like the defeat and the taunt here, the two motion capture actions for the same character. Motion capture guy here, same character. If it's a different character, then you do this process separately for that character. You can have multiple animations for that one as well. But yeah, this should streamline things a little bit for you.